Naomi Hogen. I'm from Newcastle in New South Wales.
Right, I was with you today. We were with Judy and we went into the court system and saw about her son making an appeal to have improved legal representation for some kind of a series of appeals.
Yeah, today in the courtroom it was a big shock for me. I've been in courtrooms before, but to see how the legal system is so skewed against people who aren't able to have legal representation. He was there, there was a live feed from the cell where he was, and he had all his paperwork out there in front of him and was trying to see through all of these words and this jargon, and where they're listening to the judge trying to understand what she's saying, and then there's this other pipsqueak man trying to say that, you know, oh, don't listen to them, and oh no, that's not important, this guy needs to just stay in jail, there's nothing he should be able to do, Your Honour. And she tried to, I guess, ask a few questions to find out what was going on, but I was just shocked that there wasn't able to be an Aboriginal legal aid
or
provided
any legal
for
aid.
him,
How about any legal
or
aid?
any legal aid.
Right.
That he'd had some and then they'd left, and that he wasn't able to contribute to the documents in which were taken to the previous courthouses and were supposed to have told the story of what happened, that he didn't get to contribute to that. That he hadn't had the paperwork in front of him and wasn't able to get support to fill in the documents in the way in which it would help the legal system to process them. That the judge thought that of course he should have internet access at prison, and she actually had to learn from him that no, prisoners aren't allowed to just go surfing the net to try and find this out. And she was like, oh, okay, I had no idea. She also seemed perfectly okay with the fact that the police officer, who had said in court over a year after the incident happened that he'd been bashed or headbutted by this man twice, he apparently previously, a year earlier, had said, oh, he attempted to headbutt me, and that was on the record. But the magistrate who made the decision about this man, that he must have definitely headbutted this policeman, didn't even look at the material from the year previously when the incident had happened. And
Seems like so many mistakes are there.
I just couldn't.
Because,
I was
it's a trail of paper that, and then they didn't really. The judge, in many ways, allowed people to speak and allowed herself to be interrupted. In some places, they don't allow that at all, right? But, I mean, in some ways it was very nice, but then in other ways she wasn't really interested in getting to the root of the thing. She was just interested in, hey, there's one little hang-up here. And that's how it struck me, anyhow. It
struck me that there's a legal system in which she is forced to operate for her job that isn't doing anyone any favours, because she isn't able to hear the story, to hear some of the facts that are coming up and to be able to make a judgment call on that. She is bound by, well, no, first you have to follow this paperwork and get a stay, and then you might be able to get an appeal, and I'm not sure if any of that's possible because all of this other legal stuff has to happen first. So it didn't matter that the story she was hearing was quite compelling, that the whole thing needed to be revisited.
No, well, I mean, I can understand that. From my limited legal background, that case was already decided. But and so then she didn't say she wasn't competent. Competent means that their jurisdiction or what that appeal was about was not to reopen that case. And I could see that, you know, but I mean, it didn't seem like there was much, you know, especially with a minority race. I would say that our court system bends over backwards to make sure that they're representative and that there's no way that you could say, hey, I kind of got tricked in here, or I was put in here without it knowing, you know. And to stand on all those technicalities with a person doing his own defense didn't seem right to me.
To me, what happened today highlighted why someone like Auntie Jude has said, no, I'm not going to listen to your court system. I'm actually a sovereign person and I'm going to remove myself from this jurisdiction, because it's clearly not fair. It's clearly slanted towards people that have the money to be able to afford to jump through all of the correct loopholes that they've made up to support people through the legal system. And for someone that doesn't know which loopholes to jump through, someone that the cops are already going to be up against beforehand with their subjective views of a person and what happened, that everything seems to be skewed into language that suddenly we don't understand, and there was no availability for legal representation. So then you have a language that you don't understand. There's no way for you to get in and learn the language or to get support to do that. And it just seemed like no wonder people just want to step out of this system and say, actually, we can't work with this sort of law. It made sense to me today why you would do that, when it was just very confusing and there was no way to hear the truth and to be able to act on that within the little stepping stones that were given to the magistrate or the judge today.
Yeah, I want to say that I feel very positive that, this seems very small and that should be able to be overcome, but somehow it has to be told, the story has to be told in a way that's credible. And so then it has to be told without a lot of emotion and a lot of blame and judgment. I know that that's the way it is, and it's kind of like with a few small tricks that justice can be delayed. And so then let's work together to tell the story, to tell people about it, and to say, okay, let's do it differently. So.
Yeah. It must be happening on such a big scale, though, right across the country, when you hear how many deaths. Well,
even more important that we work to get the story out, and I feel even more honored that I was able to be there and somehow say these things that we're saying today.
Yeah, today was definitely an education for me.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Naomi.
Thank you.